The winds of Jaren 9 tore across the barren landscape like invisible blades. Jagged mountains pierced the horizon, and the sky burned with an orange haze, a constant reminder that this planet was not for the weak. Every step on the rocky ground made Cadet Leora Dax feel the raw power of the world she called home. She had been born on death worlds, planets where gravity crushed bones, storms tore apart structures, and predators hunted even the cleverest of humans. Ordinary cadets might have trembled here, but for Leora, this world was familiar. The door facility loomed ahead, a massive metallic structure rising from the jagged rocks like a sentinel of challenge. Its walls were thick, covered with layers of reinforced alloys and energy shielding. This was no ordinary training center. It was legendary, feared, and whispered about in every human colony across the galaxies. Cadets who entered often did not come out the same, or at all. Leora adjusted the straps of her harness and checked the gear strapped to her belt. Her breathing was calm, even though her pulse quickened with excitement. She had trained for this moment all her life. Many called her fragile, a girl who looked small and unassuming, but her instincts were honed by survival on planets that chewed up the weak and spat them out. Leora knew that strength alone would not win here. Strategy, intelligence, and adaptability were the keys. A loud, resonant bell echoed through the valley as the doors of the facility opened. Streams of light spilled out, cutting through the dust-filled air. Cadets from across human space assembled at the threshold, their armor polished, their eyes wide with anticipation and fear. Among them, whispers ran like wildfire. "That girl, the Deathworlder," one cadet murmured, a young man with a shaved head and nervous eyes. "She won't last 10 minutes," another replied. "These doors, they kill the unprepared." Leora ignored the whispers. She had faced death on a daily basis back home. Survival was in her blood. She stepped forward, her boots striking sparks against the metallic platform as she crossed into the door facility. The interior was vast and cold, a maze of steel corridors, suspended platforms, and flickering lights. Screens on the walls displayed information and warnings in a dozen alien languages, though Leora only needed the symbols she recognized. This was a test of humanity's ingenuity, and she intended to show the instructors that human adaptability could exceed any expectation. The first challenge was immediate. As the cadets advanced, the floor beneath them began to shift. Panels slid open, revealing pits lined with spinning energy blades. Leora didn't hesitate. She leapt, twisted in the air, and landed perfectly on a narrow ledge. Other cadets stumbled, some caught by the blades and forced to retreat. "Impressive," a voice echoed from above, the voice of Instructor Kale, a veteran of countless Death World simulations. But this is only the beginning. Every step forward was a trial. Leora moved with precision, observing patterns, calculating timing, and adapting to dangers before they became threats. Automated turrets tracked cadets with lethal accuracy. Leora ducked, rolled, and used loose metal crates for cover. She was not the strongest, but she was faster and smarter than most. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time seemed warped inside the facility. Holographic enemies appeared, testing both combat skills and decision-making. Leora realized that each simulation wasn't just physical, it was a puzzle. One wrong move could trigger an entire chain of death. Her mind raced as she solved each problem, redirecting energy beams, disabling traps with quick improvisation, and anticipating the actions of opponents who thought themselves cleverer than her. By the time she reached the midway point, other cadets were exhausted, bruised, or eliminated. Some clung to walls, panting heavily, their confidence shattered. Leora, however, moved steadily, her calm demeanor unnerving them. Where they saw danger, she saw opportunity. Where they hesitated, she acted. Finally, she reached the end of the corridor, a massive reinforced door that dwarfed even the tallest cadet. Its surface was smooth, metallic, and featureless, except for a small, glowing panel in the center. It radiated energy and challenge. The instructions were simple, yet cryptic. Only 3 precise actions will open the door. Fail, and the facility will remove you. Leora approached slowly, crouching to inspect the panel. She could feel the energy humming beneath her fingers. The door had never been opened by anyone, not fully. Cadets who tried often triggered lethal responses. Energy nets, laser turrets, even collapsing floors. Every inch of the metal seemed alive with danger. Other cadets gathered behind her, muttering doubts. Instructor Kale watched from a balcony above, arms crossed, a hint of curiosity in his eyes. He had seen many cadets die here. Few displayed the calm, calculating focus that Leora had. 3 precise actions, she whispered to herself. She studied the energy pulses, noted the patterns, and began to plan. This wasn't about strength. It was about timing, observation, and improvisation. She could feel the adrenaline, but it was controlled, flowing like a river, not a storm. The first mechanism was revealed. A set of turrets emerged from the walls, targeting anything that moved too close. Cadets panicked, retreating or firing blindly. Leora analyzed their firing patterns. When the moment was right, she dashed forward, using a loose metal crate as a shield. The turret was disabled with a precise strike that redirected its own energy into the wall. First action complete. The second mechanism tested her intellect. The panel on the door displayed shifting symbols, a sequence that changed every few seconds. Leora realized the symbols were not random. They followed a pattern, a logic designed to weed out those who relied solely on speed. She matched the symbols, entered the correct sequence, and the door shuddered slightly. Second action complete. A hush fell over the cadets. Even Instructor Kale leaned forward slightly, intrigued. Many had failed at this point, but Leora pressed on. The third action was the most dangerous. The door itself was a trap. It released a controlled collapse of its frame if tampered with incorrectly. Leora could hear the whirring of mechanisms inside, the subtle clicks and groans of steel under stress. She used her harness and surrounding cables to anchor herself, then applied a calculated force to the frame at 3 critical points. Sparks flew, energy arcs danced across the surface, and a resonant hum filled the air. With a final pulse, the door shuddered violently, then began to slowly slide open, revealing a massive chamber beyond. Leora stepped back, breathing heavily but triumphant. The other cadets stared in disbelief. She had done what no one else had managed. She had opened the legendary door facility. The chamber beyond was dark, filled with shadows and strange shapes. It smelled of ozone and machine oil. Leora could feel the pulse of hidden machinery, sensing that more trials awaited. But for the first time, she felt a surge of pride and anticipation. She had survived the first stage, using human ingenuity, quick thinking, and Deathworld-honed reflexes. As she moved forward, Instructor Kale's voice echoed once more. "Interesting, very interesting. Let's see how far your skills take you, Cadet Dax." Leora smiled faintly. This was only the beginning. The door facility had tested her body and mind, but she knew the real trial was yet to come. Whatever lay ahead, she would face it the same way she had faced every danger of her life, with courage, intellect, and the unbreakable adaptability of a human born to survive. And in the shadows, the facility seemed almost alive, watching, waiting for the next move. Leora did not flinch. She had come from worlds that would have crushed lesser humans. She would not be stopped. The journey beyond the door was about to begin. The chamber beyond the door was unlike anything Leora had seen. Vast, metallic, and seemingly endless, it was alive with mechanical motion. Lights flickered overhead, reflecting off polished floors and walls lined with control panels. Shadows shifted constantly, and faint hums suggested energy pulsing through hidden conduits. Every sense in Leora's body went on alert. This was no ordinary training space. It was a gauntlet designed to test every human instinct: intelligence, reflex, courage, and adaptability. She stepped cautiously, her boots making sharp clicks against the steel floor. The door behind her slid shut, leaving her alone in the enormous chamber. A voice echoed from hidden speakers, calm yet intimidating. "Cadet Dax, the true test begins now. You must succeed, or the facility will remove you." Leora's eyes narrowed. She did not flinch. She had survived Deathworld storms, predators, and hostile planets far more dangerous than this. What lay ahead might challenge her, but it would not break her. Suddenly, mechanical panels in the walls slid open, revealing turrets armed with rapid-fire plasma cannons. The turrets rotated in unison, scanning for movement. Their targeting systems glowed with red lines that tracked every cadet's position. Leora froze for a heartbeat, then noticed patterns in the rotation. They weren't random. Her mind worked quickly. She could use her environment to her advantage. A series of crates and cables lay scattered across the floor. Timing her movement with the turret's rotation, she dashed forward, rolling behind a large crate as plasma bolts scorched the metal near her. Sparks flew, and smoke hissed from scorched edges. With precise calculation, she slotted one of the energy cables into a nearby conduit, creating a short circuit that temporarily disabled one of the turrets. Then, in one swift motion, she leapt to the next crate, narrowly avoiding a plasma burst. Within minutes, the first turret was disabled. "That was the first shot," Leora murmured to herself. It wasn't a literal gunshot, but the first critical action needed to survive the chamber. The room had no mercy, but she had mercy for herself. She moved on. The next challenge was more complex. The floor beneath her began to shift as energy plates rose and fell. Some plates triggered electrical arcs. Others were pressure-sensitive, activating hidden mechanical spikes. Cadets who moved too fast were caught, their limbs injured or immobilized. Leora watched the plates carefully, calculating the timing of each step. She did not rush. She waited, then moved with precision and patience, using small jumps and rolls to stay ahead of the deadly mechanisms. Halfway across, a holographic panel flickered to life before her eyes. It displayed a complex sequence of symbols, glowing in shifting colors. The panel was connected to the main door of the facility. Failure to input the correct sequence would trigger another wave of turrets and floor traps. Leora crouched, studying the symbols. She realized the sequence wasn't random. It followed a logic tied to the facility's energy grid. Each symbol corresponded to an energy conduit that powered the chamber. She traced the flow with her fingers and mapped out the correct sequence in her mind. With careful timing, she touched the symbols in order. The energy lights dimmed, and the second trap deactivated. "That's the second shot," she whispered, heart steady. She had survived another near-impossible challenge. The other cadets, hiding behind walls and rubble, stared at her in disbelief. Leora's calm precision contrasted sharply with their panic. She was not just surviving, she was mastering the facility. The final test revealed itself moments later. The floor rumbled, and from the walls emerged mechanical claws connected to rotating energy rings. The rings were designed to crush anything trapped inside. Leora's eyes scanned for a solution. There was no cover here, no easy escape. She needed to combine speed, timing, and ingenuity to survive. She noticed that the claws were synchronized with the energy rings. By observing the rotation and movement, she realized there was a pattern, a small window of opportunity every few seconds where the claws paused briefly. Leora calculated her route through the claws, using a combination of rolls, jumps, and timed sprints. She moved with surgical precision, avoiding contact with the deadly machinery. A loud alarm sounded as she reached the final panel controlling the energy rings. The system required a direct override, but touching it would trigger a secondary trap designed to eliminate anyone attempting it. Leora took a deep breath and analyzed the wiring. Using a spare cable from earlier, she created a bypass circuit that tricked the system into thinking the rings were still active. With a careful push, she activated the override. The rings froze, the mechanical claws retracted, and the final section of the chamber opened. Leora had completed the third shot, the last action required to survive this stage. The room fell silent for a moment, as if the facility itself paused to register her success. Other cadets emerged cautiously, some limping, some wide-eyed. They had never seen anyone complete the chamber's three-shot test. Instructor Kale appeared on a balcony above, nodding slightly. There was no praise in his tone, but it was clear he was impressed. "You are remarkable," he said. "Few cadets have ever completed even the first stage, let alone this entire chamber. But do not think your trials are over." Leora didn't respond. She didn't need praise. She had survived through her skill, intelligence, and adaptability. Every action she had taken, every calculation, and every risk had been guided by one principle. Humans could rise above any challenge, no matter how lethal. The chamber beyond the energy rings was revealed, even larger than the one she had just traversed. Massive doors loomed at the far end, guarded by security drones capable of scanning and disabling intruders instantly. Leora knew this next stage would test her like never before. But she had a plan. Drawing on her Deathworld instincts, she began analyzing the drones. Their patterns were predictable when observed carefully. She noted the timing of their movements, the arc of their scans, and the delay between attacks. Using shadows and debris as cover, she advanced steadily, disabling one drone at a time with quick strikes and clever maneuvers. The chamber seemed almost alive, reacting to her actions. Each success she achieved prompted new obstacles, each more complex than the last. But Leora thrived under pressure. Where other cadets panicked, she focused. Where machines moved with precision, she adapted with creativity. The Deathworlder Cadet was becoming a master of the facility itself. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. Leora faced energy nets that could immobilize a human instantly, pressure plates triggering hidden spikes, and automated walls that closed without warning. Each time, she found a solution, sometimes by thinking faster than the machine, sometimes by exploiting the environment. Her human ingenuity was the true weapon, unmatched by any automated system. Finally, she reached the central chamber of this stage. The room was empty except for a single console at its center. Holographic projections showed the final challenge. A massive door, reinforced beyond comprehension. Around it were energy conduits and traps designed to eliminate anyone who approached. The facility seemed to wait, as if daring her to take the next step. Leora approached carefully, studying every detail. She could feel the hum of energy beneath her feet, the subtle vibrations of mechanisms hidden in the walls. She understood now what the three shots truly meant. Each shot was not a bullet or projectile, but a precise action requiring skill, timing, and intelligence. She had completed 2 of them already. The final shot awaited, one that would test her reflexes, intellect, and courage more than anything she had faced before. She glanced at the other cadets, some injured, some exhausted, who were watching silently. Fear and admiration mingled in their eyes. Leora felt a surge of determination. She was a human born to survive worlds that would have destroyed others. She would not fail now. As she positioned herself for the final action, the facility seemed to shift subtly around her. Energy arcs danced along the walls, doors hummed with power, and mechanical claws readied themselves. Leora's heart beat steadily. She took a deep breath, focused her mind, and prepared to deliver the final shot. The stage was set. The Deathworlder Cadet was ready to prove that human ingenuity and courage could overcome even the most deadly trials. The central chamber beyond the last trial was massive, almost cathedral-like in scale. Massive doors loomed at the far end, their surfaces gleaming with reinforced alloys and energy conduits. Sparks flickered from the panels along the walls, casting sharp shadows across the floor. The hum of machinery was constant, a reminder that the door facility was alive and aware of intruders. It had never faced someone like Leora Dax, the Deathworlder Cadet who had already outsmarted every trap. She paused for a moment, taking in the scale of the chamber. Every inch of it had been designed to kill, trap, or intimidate. Yet, she felt no fear, only focus. Her mind raced as she assessed the situation. The massive doors were the final obstacle, but they were not invincible. Every energy conduit, every mechanical lock, every defense system had a weakness. Leora had learned to see patterns where others saw chaos. The moment she stepped forward, the facility reacted. Walls shifted, revealing automated defense drones armed with plasma cannons and energy nets. Their sensors glowed red, tracking her every movement. The floor beneath her feet began to vibrate, warning of hidden traps and shifting panels. Leora's instincts kicked in. She leapt behind a large crate, narrowly avoiding a bolt of plasma. Her mind raced. Every action had to be precise, every movement deliberate. She realized the drones worked in pairs, their attacks synchronized to create deadly crossfires. Using shadows and debris, she disabled the first drone with a carefully timed strike, redirecting its energy cannon into the wall. Sparks and smoke filled the chamber, and the second drone hesitated. Leora seized the moment, creating a short circuit with a spare cable she had carried from previous trials. The drone shut down instantly. With the path cleared momentarily, she approached the massive doors. The energy conduits along their edges pulsed with power, a visible reminder of the facility's lethal capabilities. Each pulse carried a warning. A single mistake could trigger the self-destruct protocols embedded deep within the structure. Leora crouched and studied the conduits. They were designed to react to direct contact, but she noticed subtle gaps between the panels where she could insert tools and redirect energy flows. Her fingers worked quickly, manipulating the circuits, while her eyes darted to the security drones still active above. Timing was critical. One miscalculation could collapse part of the floor or trigger an energy surge. She completed the first critical action, neutralizing the door's main energy lock. The massive doors shuddered slightly, but did not open. She had expected that. The facility was designed to resist brute force. It required ingenuity. The second critical action was more complex. Leora had to manipulate the structure itself, using the planet's unique conditions to her advantage. She recalled how Geron 9's magnetic storms interfered with energy fields. By rerouting the conduits to amplify a localized magnetic pulse, she destabilized the reinforced alloys in small sections. Sparks flew as the metal groaned under stress. The doors did not yield entirely, but internal locks clicked audibly, a sound no cadet had ever heard. The third action was the most dangerous. The facility, sensing her progress, activated self-defense protocols. Panels dropped from above, energy nets fired in unpredictable arcs, and mechanical claws shot out from the floor. Leora's heart rate increased, but her mind remained clear. She calculated the timing of each trap and moved with the precision of a human predator, rolling, leaping, and using every piece of cover available. Reaching the final control panel, she realized she could either trigger the self-destruct to destroy the doors, or carefully reverse-engineer the system to open them safely. Using her experience from countless Deathworld trials, she chose the latter. Her fingers worked quickly, connecting circuits and redirecting energy flows. Sparks cascaded around her, but she moved calmly, never panicking, always focused. The massive doors began to creak and shift, the metal bending slightly under the pressure of rerouted energy. The chamber vibrated as systems overloaded. Panels exploded in small arcs of energy, but Leora was unharmed. She stepped back and watched as the doors slowly started to part, revealing the exit beyond. The facility, designed to be undefeatable, was finally yielding. Other cadets stared from a safe distance, their faces a mix of awe and fear. Many had thought Leora would fail, that she would fall victim to the lethal mechanisms of the door facility. But here she was, standing calm amidst chaos, a human who had outsmarted machines designed to test and kill the best of the best. Instructor Kale appeared on the balcony above, his usual stern expression replaced by an almost imperceptible nod. "Remarkable," he said, his voice carrying through the chamber. "You have done what no cadet has before. You have survived the impossible." But Leora did not pause to accept praise. She knew the facility was not finished with her. Its systems were still active, its defenses still capable of harm. She moved carefully through the gap in the doors, stepping into the next chamber, which housed the central control core of the door facility. The core was a massive cylindrical structure, pulsating with energy. Holographic displays floated above it, showing the facility's entire network of security systems. Leora could see the turrets, traps, and doors she had faced, and she understood how they were all connected. A single, clever intervention could disable the facility entirely. Her mind raced with possibilities. She could destroy the core outright, but that would risk harming the other cadets still inside. Instead, she decided to use the facility's own systems against itself, a move that required courage, precision, and creativity. Leora began rerouting power through auxiliary circuits, creating controlled overloads in strategic locations. Energy conduits sparked and hissed, panels groaned and buckled, and mechanical arms froze in place. The facility, sensing the disruption, attempted to compensate, but Leora stayed several steps ahead. She anticipated every reaction, every defensive measure, turning the complex systems against each other. The central core began to fail spectacularly. Walls vibrated, sparks rained from the ceiling, and alarms blared across the chamber. Leora moved with purpose, ensuring that the overloads were contained to the facility's systems, sparing her fellow cadets. One by one, the automated defenses shut down, powerless against her ingenuity. Finally, with a calculated final pulse of energy, the core exploded internally, sending shockwaves through the facility. Massive doors bent, panels tore free, and sections of the building collapsed in controlled chaos. Leora stood at the center, calm and composed, as the once impenetrable door facility fell apart around her. The other cadets, now free from the facility's lethal systems, emerged cautiously. Some helped injured peers, while others stared at Leora in amazement. She had not just survived, she had reinvented the trial, proving that human intelligence, courage, and adaptability could overcome even the most advanced machines. Instructor Kyle approached her on the rubble-strewn floor. "Cadet Dax," he said, his voice low and serious, "you have done something extraordinary. You did not simply survive, you showed the true potential of humanity. Remember this: ingenuity, courage, and persistence are the greatest weapons we have." Leora nodded, feeling a quiet satisfaction. She had faced impossible odds and survived using nothing but her mind, her instincts, and her unyielding determination. She looked at the ruined facility, a testament to human skill and adaptability. The door facility, once considered undefeatable, had been shattered by a single human cadet. As she stepped forward, leaving the ruins behind, Leora felt the familiar rush of triumph that came from surviving the death worlds she had called home. She had proven, not just to the instructors or cadets, but to herself, that humans were capable of greatness beyond measure. The winds of Jaren 9 howled outside, but Leora welcomed them. They were a reminder that no world, no machine, and no challenge could break a human spirit honed by survival, courage, and ingenuity. She was more than a cadet. She was proof that humanity could rise above any obstacle, and that even in the deadliest places, the human mind and heart were unstoppable. And as she walked away from the shattered facility, the other cadets following, one thing was clear. The legend of the Deathworlder Cadet who shattered the door facility would live forever. Leora Dax had not just survived. She had transcended the trial, embodying the true spirit of HFY. Humanity, with its intelligence, courage, and determination, had proven itself unstoppable once again. The facility lay in ruins behind her, but the story of her triumph would echo across human space for generations to come.